Characters. Who are they? What are they? Who will they become? So much goes into the creation of a character. Their backstory, culture, origins, abilities, personality, description, and so much more. As a reader, we only get a glimpse of what truly goes into the development of each character. So sit back and relax as we explore characters in depth on this week's episode of Character Driven with Madilynn Dale. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Character Driven. Today, I have another fantastic author, which I've read several of his books with this character we're going to be chatting about. So I'm super stoked to chat about her. But I'm going to bring him in and let him introduce himself, and he can tell us a little bit about his character.
Sure. So, hi. Nice to see you again, Maddie. My name is Adam Gaffen. I'm the creator of the Cassidy Chronicles. There are 8 books in the universe. And the character we're talking about is Kendra Cassidy, although when you first get to know her, she is Kendra Foster Briggs. Cassidy is her married name. And boy, oh boy, is she a fireball.
Understatement, I'd say.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, very definitely an understatement. And the really funny thing is, and I was thinking about this, is she wasn't meant to be the focus of the stories. If you read the very first novel, which is simply the Cassidy Chronicles, then you realize that Ayanna, who Kendra marries, Ayanna Cassidy was supposed to be the main character. And for that first book, they're kind of co-main characters. Ayanna comes into it very, very raw, very ivory tower, very naive about the world around her and unprepared for everything that's going down. And, and Kendra is prepared. She deals with it and she handles it. But the character arc in the first book is much more about Ayanna and her, finding inner strength and, really dealing with the world that keeps throwing itself at her. After that, though, Kendra kind of takes over. She really does.
She is definitely a fiery spirited woman. So, but let's talk about her backstory. This is where things get crazy in her backstory.
Oh, yeah. So she is, okay, I'm going to say this now, spoiler alert. But she is an enhanced human, which means she is genetically engineered. So, her abilities, her physical characteristics, her mental characteristics were all very carefully selected. The problem is enhanced humans, they weren't illegal, but they were less than human. Mm-hmm. So in the late 2070s, the production and creation of enhanced humans was stopped. It was made illegal. She was born 3 years later, a delayed embryo, and she never knew she was an enhanced human. Ooh. The fact that she was able to run faster than other kids, and she could see things that were hot, for example, and other kids couldn't. She just thought, okay, whatever, This is what I do. So that that's it as a basic, as her beginning, and then you next find her. She and Ayanna have been a thing since they were old enough to be a thing.
Yeah.
They've been friends since they before they knew what a friend was. I mean, they grew up next to each other. They're 3 weeks apart in age. So, they were friends from the time they could crawl. But the next real story is recruiting Kendra. And after graduating from high school, she went out to the California Confederacy, and she got into the Sensies as an actress because she had this brilliant idea after working there for a little while. Hey, I'm going to start my own studio. I'm going to make my own movies, and I'm going to pay everybody fairly, and we'll all get rich. Problem was, her ambition was bigger than her ability in math, and she found herself over her head owed a couple million Bruins to various people who would sooner break her legs than take the money. And so when a company called Outlook came in and said, "Hey, look, we'll bail you out. We're going to ask you to do something for us later," she said, "Sure." She didn't realize that what the later was going to be we're going to recruit her to be a courier, and not just a courier like we have today, where you drop off a package. This is the package has to get through no matter what. So she learns all sorts of dirty tricks and fighting techniques, and how to sneak through borders. And eventually she gets turned into an assassin, all the while maintaining her cover as a Sensi actress. So that's her backstory before the Cassidy Chronicles. So yeah, she has and the things that happen in recruiting Kendra also tie into some of the things that happen in the Cassidy Chronicles. Mm-hmm. It's some of her first run-ins with the people out in the California Confederacy, which comes back to bite her later. And recruiting Kendra was written as well to kind of fill in some of those gaps, because, like I said, the Cassidy Chronicles was written first. Recruiting Kendra was written a couple years later. So, I had an opportunity to look back and say, okay, what's missing, what needs filling in. And so that's what that's purpose.
Sweet. So let's talk about the growth she experiences from her beginnings to she ends up living in space, correct?
Yes.
How does her mind and her body and everything change in that time period between?
So her parents, and again, remember, she's growing up in the 2080s. So her foster parents, I should say, and then they adopted her when she was 7. Her foster parents basically let her watch our pop culture because it was far enough in the past. It would be like us watching, shows from the 40s and 50s. She actually took them seriously, especially the ethos of Star Trek, the equality for all, and there's so much out there. Let's go explore. So she gets into a position where she realized that she can make this particular dream a reality. Now I'm going to back up a little bit. Because she was a foster and then adopted child, and her parents, her foster parents, were considerably older. And there's a story in Into the Black which explains why they foster her. They're considerably older, and more or less by the time that Kendra was, a late tween, early teenager, they're like, okay, we've done what we need to do. We've gotten you to this point. And they kind of step back a little bit. So she really is searching for a strong family relationship. Mm-hmm. When you get into the Cassidy Chronicles, and that's really what drives her through the first one, that sense of family, and it's and it's found family, chosen family, not just blood, because she doesn't have any blood family.
Yeah.
None. Yeah. She has step siblings, adopted
Mhm.
siblings, who are all older than her by 20 or 30 or 40 years.
Oh.
So they're not, she's not particularly close with any of them. She has Ayana, and that really drives her through the first book, which is, I'm not letting anything happen to her.
Yeah.
Anything, nothing. So, um, but again, once you get out of that book, then she's able to, now that she has her family, then she's able to pursue the other dreams, which is, okay, I have the opportunity here. I'm dragging humanity to the stars, whether they like it or not, kicking and screaming, and nobody better get in my way.
That's a good way to go about it, though. I mean, because it's got to happen at some point. So even in real life, it's got to happen.
Right.
So,
And it was going to happen. It fell into her lap at the end of the Cassidy Chronicles. She got the opportunity, and yeah, she latched onto it. She latched onto it hard.
it's a huge responsibility, though. And yeah, that's a lot. A lot, a lot.
Well, and she has to learn responsibility as well, because
Mhm.
she had been responsible for herself.
Yes.
Yeah, and then she did okay with that. She was responsible for her company. Yeah, maybe not so good. Okay, reset, start life with Ayana. Okay, we're figuring this out. Um, they have a family, a couple little girls,
Mhm.
but then she's starting the Terran Federation and this exploration of space, and she suddenly is responsible for hundreds of people and thousands of people, and not just for their livelihood, like her Sensi company, but for their lives. And she has to learn how to live with herself, how when the only decision that she can make, the best decision she can make, ends up costing some of the people she cares about their lives.
Yeah,
That's a tough one.
it
That
is.
that's the road to the stars, and it's a tough one for her to learn. She spends several chapters towards the end of that book just basically dealing with it and learning to get past it.
Yeah. When she finally marries Ayana, do you feel like maybe she became more serious, or Ayana influenced her to become more serious about things to take better care of things?
Mm. I don't think the wedding itself had anything to do with it. Um, you go back to Memories of Ayana, which is the memoir that Kendra wrote about ages 5, 6, and 7 with Ayana, and it begins with her saying that she's been in love with Ayana since they're like 4.
Oh.
Okay, she just you know she just they were better together. They were always better together. So I don't know that it was necessarily the wedding itself,
Mhm.
although it was Ayana proposed to her initially, um, and then when that wedding kind of fell apart for reasons I won't go into, which are in the first chapter of the book,
Mhm.
um, and all this past, the fact that Kendra was a courier and she had this secret life and she was an assassin, all this stuff comes out. So Kendra turns around and asks Ayana to marry her.
Oh.
You know, saying I don't want to do this without you, and if you'll still have me, knowing what you know now about what I've done, let's do this. Um, that the growing up, the accepting responsibility and getting serious about things really happens in Road to the Stars.
Yeah.
Uh, Ayana is definitely the more serious of the two. Um, she did the whole academic route. She has her doctorate. Um, and she's led a research lab. She knows how to adult. Kendra more or less fakes it until she makes it. And she just and she bowls through on self-confidence as well. I mean, she believes that there's nothing that she can't do, and therefore she'll keep trying to do it until she can't, which doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. So she's pretty bullheaded, like, I'm doing this. We're going in. Yes.
Yeah, a common question is, Kendra, are you insane?
Hopefully she replies, maybe a little.
when she's presented with something, I don't even know if she knows where the box is to think outside of it.
And she also is so just on the bit I've read about her, she is involved in a bunch of romantic relationships. And like you mentioned in that chapter that we were kind of briefly touching on, she's getting married, but there's also a third person in that.
Yep.
How does that dynamic work for her and Ayana later on in the story? Because I know you bring in another person, correct?
Okay, so in the various and sundry stories, there are at least 5 romantic relationships, not including her relationship with Ayana. And some of it is teenage stuff, just dating, and throwing out, everything that she did as a Sensi actress, in her professional life. But she is very much, she loves who she loves for who they are when she loves them. And she's not limited by gender, biology, number, anything. Her longest standing relationship is with Ayana. Now, Ayana is much slower to fall into a relationship. So Kendra jumps in with both feet. Ayana kind of thinks about it for a while before deciding yes or no. But she's also, she'll also be with whoever she loves. But yeah, at the latest date in any of the books, Ayana and Kendra have been married for a couple hundred years. One of the nice things about having nanobots is they constantly scavenge waste products and help keep you alive much, much longer.
Nice. I wondered how you put all of that in there, but I'm sure I was like, okay, this is science fiction, so there's going to be some scientific way that it's done.
Yeah, very, very early on, the nanobots are introduced. I think it's during Road to the Stars. I mentioned it in Cassidy Chronicles, and actually the nanobots come up from a friend of Ayana's who she knew from school, and she's basically beta testing them for. So she's the one who got them first. But what they do is they scavenge all sorts of waste products from the blood system, and they go in and they repair DNA. So if you have damaged DNA that would cause cancer later on, or would cause some other chronic disease, some other genetic disease, then they fix it. So all of that gets taken care of. They knock down infections before they get started. It's and without any of that, aging slows immensely. If somebody doesn't get COPD, they live a lot longer. They don't have heart disease. They live a lot longer.
Yeah, because that's like some of the big kickers currently in life. So back on Kendra's beginning. When you were first starting out with the series and writing her character, where did you get the inspiration to let her become who she is?
So Kendra is loosely modeled on a Robert Heinlein character, very loosely modeled, inspired, I would say. Um, minus the intent. So Heinlein's character was designed to do this job. They were designed with a purpose. We don't know what Kendra was designed for because that the company that designed her is long gone. It's history.
Yeah.
All the people that were involved with it are retired or dead or disappeared. So yeah, taking that. So my thinking then was, okay, you have this person who is enhanced, but they don't know what to do with it. It's like having somebody who's a superhero who doesn't know they're a superhero. There's no sense of purpose. There's no okay, this is what I'm here to do. Superman, comes to Earth and is charged by his father to defend the people of Earth and protect them. She doesn't have that, so she's making her way. So what are her choices? What is she going to decide to do? How is she going to decide to do it? That's all up to her, and it's been a voyage of discovery. Because Kendra is very strong-willed, and she lets me know, okay, this is what I'm doing.
Like, okay, like, let's do it.
Yep.
Nice. So her position, when she takes everybody into the stars, does she come across any events that may change her opinion on things in life, or like the way she interacts with her team?
Well, several times. I mean, first is Road to the Stars, and accepting responsibility. Sometimes the two decisions, the two choices you have are, you have the crappy decision and you have the really crappy decision. And so you choose the less crappy option. And she doesn't like that. Nobody likes that. But she has to learn to accept that sometimes the least crappy decision is the only one that she can make. When she finds out she's an enhanced human, and it floors her because she had no idea, absolutely no idea. And so now she's being challenged legally. You're not actually human. You don't have rights. You don't exist as a human being.
Ooh.
Because of the laws that were on the books from, at that point, 50, 60, 70 years earlier, which strictly regulated what enhanced humans could and couldn't do. The governments of Earth in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, all said, we don't want superhumans taking over. So how the pendulum swings. There's always the overreaction.
Yep.
So rather than just look at them as human and say, okay, if you do things which are above and beyond, you can't do that, or it has to be strictly regulated. They went all the way to, you're not human. You have no rights. You're
Typical.
one step up from property.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what she deals with in Measure of Humanity, which really influences her decisions later on, because having had her own humanity challenged and knowing that she is human, she takes a much broader view of who should be part of this Terran Federation that she's putting together. It's not just humans. 100 years from now, I'm positing that there are AIs out there, sentient AIs, not just programs that fake it.
Yeah.
So she says, "Oh yeah, AIs, you're going to be citizens. This
Yay.
Terran Federation, you are a citizen. You are an equal participant." I don't think if she wasn't an enhanced human and had gone through what she went through, I don't think she would have been as open to that. Because again, she now has a much broader view. When they run across an intelligent alien species that doesn't speak, they communicate telepathically. They don't they use tools, but they're at a Stone Age level. She still says, "Look, if they want to be part of it, they can. They are intelligent. They are sentient beings. They can be part of the Terran Federation, even though they have nothing to do with, they are not Terran in any way, shape, or form, but they are intelligent beings. They need to be, they need to be part."
I like that. And that's a really a good concept that our current world could use a little more of. So, yeah, that is awesome. And Kendra's a big part of that, bringing more people into that. And that's even better. So, I'd say she's definitely a character a lot of people could look up to,
Absolutely. Yeah. And she, one of the things she says, which I didn't realize it at the time, but it's really true, is if I don't ask you, you can't say yes. It was on the heels of one of her outrageous, and the person she just asked this question to was like, "What? If I don't ask you, you can't say yes." So if you think about it, the answer to any question that you do not ask, if you don't ask the question, the answer is always going to be no.
That's true.
So you ask the question, and maybe they say yes. Maybe they say not now. Maybe they say no. But you don't know until you ask the question. So you always ask the question, and that's what she does. Try something, and that's the challenge in A Quiet Revolution. Getting people to take that step. The fourth book in the Artemis War series is Triumph's Ashes, and that is actually a pretty serious one because, all right, so Kendra has been pursuing this dream of dragging humanity into space, and it's brought her and now thousands upon thousands of other people into conflict with, the Solarian Union, the Union of Artemis. People are dying, and she has to ask herself, well, what am I willing to pay personally to keep my dream alive? I mean, she's accepted that, okay, yes, sometimes, I've got to make the hard choice. And yes, sometimes people are going to die because of the hard choice that I made. But is she willing to, our lives, our fortunes, our sacred honor? The dedication to that one is to those who looked at death and decided that the price was not too high. So she's faced with that choice. Does she let her dream die, or is she willing to sacrifice herself? A lot of people get faced with that choice.
Yeah, I love that.
So,
all right, Adam, we'll go ahead and tell our viewers where they can find you and your work.
Sure. So the best place to find me is my website, CassidyChronicles.com. You can also see the link tree right here. Hey, look at that. I got it right on the first try.
Yes.
Yay. The link tree leads you all sorts of places. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show again. And viewers, don't forget to hit that like button and smash the subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you all next week. And remember, it's always time to go indie now.
So this is from A Quiet Revolution, and Kendra is addressed. This is the first time that she's addressing the people of Earth and the people of the Solarian Union all at the same time. So she's broadcasting from the bridge of the starship. When the information came out, certain parties decided to use it to try to smash my dreams and the dreams of all those who have followed me on this journey. Her voice hardened. They failed. Her tone lightened. My friends, join us. This adventure is just beginning. Together, we can bring a new hope to a tired world. Changes have happened. More will come. Be part of the change.